welcome to our first episode of Cocktails and Connections, the podcast, where we're going to be making a cocktail today, and we're also going to be interviewing one of our members, who you may have already know, but Amanda Seebadan, my wife. So yeah, let's get into it. So the cocktail we're going to be making today is going to be called the Gimlet. It's a gin-based cocktail. It's going to be 2 ounces of gin. Today we have aviation gin. And it's just going to be lime juice and simple syrup. So let's get to it.
So how much lime juice did you put in?
So we put in 2 ounces of lime juice because we're making 2 cocktails. And then we're going to put in 4 ounces of gin.
What gin do you normally get?
Normally Hendrix or Botanist.
And then how much simple syrup do you put?
So we use equal parts simple syrup to lime juice. So just 2 ounces of simple, 2 ounces of lime. Just give it a nice shake. And then we pour.
I definitely gave you too much lime juice, huh?
Yeah.
Are you supposed to cheers
So
first?
cheers. Delicious. All right, so let's get into it. Since we're talking to Amanda, who's a real estate agent here in Central Florida, this podcast is going to basically be about real estate. So the Central Florida market has been really dynamic lately. So what can you tell us about the market as a whole?
So it varies depending on where exactly and what exactly you're trying to do. So Central Florida is a huge market. Some people think Central Florida, they think Orlando. Some people say Central Florida and they think Ocala. So it really depends on what micro community, because even Orlando is huge. Like it's a 45-minute diameter. So is Ocala, right? So it kind of just depends. We definitely have a lot more inventory. So back in 2020 when people were doing cash and sight unseen and like multiple offers, that market's gone away, and some sellers are having a hard time. They can't just put a number on a house and it just sells. Like it's not the market we're in. It's much more data driven. I feel like we have a lot more sales history of a lot of properties. Appraisers and appraisals are holding value. Like the values aren't tanking. They're holding steady for the most part. But you also have to be very aware of what are the comps, what is the condition of the homes. For buyers, there's a lot of opportunities with new construction right now. A lot of builders have a lot of inventory or spec homes where they can get into them, with lower interest rates, lower down payments. So it just depends exactly what they're doing. We're also seeing a big uptick in people buying land, like large tracts of land, or buying land and building what they want to build if they can't find what they're looking. So it's quite dynamic, and it just depends on what exactly you're looking for. But there's definitely more options for buyers. Sellers are still selling, but they have to be realistic, because some homes are taking 6 to 12 months, not everywhere, but sometimes it is taking longer. Not that anything's wrong with the house or the price or the condition, but sometimes it just takes longer right now.
So one question that always comes up is it a seller's market, is it a buyer's market, and what does that mean?
So it depends, again, what specific community or neighborhood. So buyer's market is when there's over 6 months of inventory. Some communities have that, like down near like Davenport, Kissimmee, like near the theme parks. That's definitely some of those areas have like 8, 9, 10 months of inventory. And over like on St. Pete area, they have like 12 months of inventory in some sections. So just depends. If there's more than 6 months of inventory, then it's a buyer's market. So just depends. So there's still pockets in Oviedo or Winter Springs that it's still a seller's market and they're getting multiple offers quickly. So it just depends, and I don't like generalize, hey, all of Florida's X, because it's not. It's super hyper local.
Okay, let's talk about sellers for a second.
Mm-hmm.
What's your best advice to a seller even before hitting up you as a real estate agent?
Most sellers that I meet with, they've already looked up their home on like Zillow, Realtor, Redfin, like all the different websites. So they kind of have an idea of like, hey, this is what I think my home is worth in that range. The problem with those sites is while they do pull data from like public appraisers and things like that, they don't always have all the information sometimes. So sometimes it's distorted. And then so kind of having an idea what you think you want, but also being completely open-minded and reasonable when it says, like when we come in and say, hey, we have, here's the comps, but not just looking at what's sold, and this isn't really their job, but look what's sold, but look what's pending, and then look what's active. So what's your active competition right now? Because if a buyer's coming into town, they're going to see 5 houses today. Is your house going to be one of the top 5? Like, you want to make sure your house is showing like a model home. That's not how we live. Like, it's not, but that's how you sell a home. So almost like going to a hotel experience, like you want it to be impeccable. So just having that mindset of like, it's going to really suck to like live like this because it's not how you live.
Right.
But I would just be aware that like this time period is it's gonna feel off because it's not how you live your life.
Okay. So what about buyers? So I know you work with a lot of out-of-state buyers,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of in-state buyers.
Mm-hmm.
What's your piece of advice for buyers in this market?
Buyers, I would say kind of like a lot of times I get a phone call and they're like, hey, I want to move to Florida. I don't know where, I don't know what. I would always say like, hey, what's important to you? Whether it be schools, whether it's hobby. I get a lot of retirees. So like, what do you want to be near, friends or family? Like, what do you want to be near? Or if you're retiring, what hobby do you want to do, right? Because if you've never had time for a hobby and now you do, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm gonna pick up surfing and be in Ocala. Like, that's not gonna work. But if you want to be in the villages, which plenty of people want to be in the villages, like, you need to know kind of what you want. And if they don't, I kind of go into questions like, hey, let's come down. Have you ever been to the village? A lot of times they watch stuff on YouTube and like they think they love it in their head, and sometimes they get there like, oh, it's overwhelming. Like, there's like over 55 or 50,000 homes, and they're building another 60,000 homes there. Sometimes that's too big, right? So sometimes I'm like, well, we have Margaritaville, we have like places over in Ormond, like plantations, like there's smaller communities that are golf course communities so they can live their Florida dream, but aren't as overwhelming, because some people love it and they embrace it, and some people it's like it's too much. So I guess hobbies, if there's work or school involved, and then price point, obviously. Like price point, like you can find new construction under 400,000. A lot of places in the country you can't. So I guess all those things combined, and then like if you want to be near somebody.
Okay, so you run the Seebadan Team in real estate with Keller Williams. How does your team stand out from the rest of them?
So being with the largest brokerage in the world is really helpful. So not only do we network locally with agents and referral partners, nationally we're a part of various groups. So I'm part of KW Land Division. So we network with those agents across the country. Over the years, I've been in real estate for 14 years. I've met and gone to different conferences over the years, coaching programs. So you connect with other like-minded, high-producing, incredible, inspiring agents, and just masterminding, connecting, and staying in contact with them. Because a lot of times they're having people relocate here, or people are relocating out of the area that I need to give them to somebody and be like, hey, I would trust my mom with this person. So your house would not only get like local exposure and local connections, but national exposure to all of our networks, and even international.
Okay, nice. So what's your general take on the real estate market? Should people wait to buy? Is it now a good time to buy? What are we looking at here?
I think if you want to buy, you should buy if you're able and capable. We're still expecting rates to come down at some point. I don't know when that'll happen. Like, I don't have a crystal ball. But there's plenty of new construction opportunities that are incredible. Like, they're offering like 3.99, 4.99. So if people are like, oh, I'm like hung up on the rate, that might not really be the issue. Like, they just might be, I'm not mentally ready to move this second. Some people, like right now, we have seasonality. So like right now, people don't want to move before the holidays, because it's like, hey, I have Thanksgiving, I have Christmas, or whatever holidays you celebrate. But they have all these holidays, like family coming into town. So a lot of times people just push it off to January or springtime. The problem with that is so many people are. So you're putting yourself almost in a not worse competition, but worse situation. But like you could potentially be losing out on houses now, because there's the most serious buyers that are out looking now, and people on the market now are serious about moving. So like there's opportunity now, but there'll be opportunity in the spring as well. But like it depends on the person.
Okay.
So I can't say like you have to do it the second, because if it's not like it's not your time, it's not your time. But
okay. And then what avenues are you taking to get more clients?
So we do a lot of different things. So We run a couple different networking groups here in Central Florida. So I run one, it's called Coffee and Connections. We meet the second and fourth Tuesday, 2 to 3 in Oviedo. And it's more like intimate, I feel like, and it's more like one profession per industry.
Okay.
So it's kind of like I needed a networking group, and I was like, I'm gonna build this table, right? Like, who do I know who can help me grow? Who can I help grow? And then we started at, like, what was it, January of 23, I think? 24. And then May of 24, we made Cocktails and Connections, which was just a bigger group of people, and we didn't put the parameters on, like, hey, one in person per industry. I've also been involved with different chambers, different volunteer organizations, so just meeting more people and being out in the community, and then again going to, like, the national conferences and things like that, it's been helpful too. But just really, what the hell is that?
Oh well.
I don't remember the question.
Well, that was a good interruption. So speaking of Cocktails and Connections, what advice do you have for business professionals going out to these networking events to not just collect a Rolodex of business cards and actually make connections?
So my biggest thing is I don't necessarily want to meet everybody, because that's a lot, right? I know you like to meet everybody, but like I don't have the capacity to go that deep with everybody. I think if you leave the evening with making 5 to 10 good connections, you have that many business cards, and then setting 1 to 3 like one-on-ones or coffee or meetings or like afterwards, like that's a win. I mean, really, like even like an open house, right? If you go to an open house and you get one good buyer, one good seller lead, like that, you did your job, right? Kind of thing. So going into the expectation of like, hey, I'm not necessarily going to sell 100 houses at this event. I'm going to meet one person that's going to move the needle at some point in time, because relationships and networking, it takes a lot of time, because you have to have that trust, and it takes time to build that trust. You have to see these people over and over again. So yeah, I would go in not necessarily expecting, hey, I'm going to make something today, but you're planting the seeds for your future self.
Nice. All right. So I guess this is going to be the end of this first episode. Why don't you tell everyone again who you work for, or what your team is, and how they can reach you?
Yep. So you can find me at Amanda Seebadan, so AmandaSeebadan on Instagram. Move to the number Florida on Instagram as well. That's a business account. We have the Seebadan Team here in Central Florida. We're with Keller Williams here in Oviedo, Florida. I think that's all.
Okay. And just a reminder, our next event is going to be on October 29th at the Citrus Club. So if you ever wanted to visit Citrus Club or learn a little bit more about Citrus Club, come out on the 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. It's going to be a blast.
And also, if you want to do like lunch there too, we can set that up.
Yeah, if you guys are interested in joining Citrus Club, we can always do a lunch to kind of give you an introduction, give you a tour of the facility. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
See you next time. Bye.